This is Ballet Univerze with me, Elita Zafirova, and I'm here to reshape your mind with the ballet experience of my guest, ELÉONORE Turrì, who is an exceptional example of a professional dancer who starts her dedicated dance journey at age of 20, pursues an elite dance career from Paris, France to Canada to Germany, and masters diverse dance styles while holding a serious business education and a complex Pilates teacher certification. Her love to dance and stage are so deep that nothing can stop her strive to perform. Hello, Eleonore.
Hello,
my dearest friend.
Hello.
Very nice to have you here at the Ballet Experience talk, and happy to share your experience with me and with all the audience. So
thank you very much for having me.
Since we know each other for so long time,
Yeah.
I would like to nevertheless start with the very first question of when did your dance journey start? At what age, where, what type of dance, and what inspired you, or who inspired you to start?
It did start actually at a very young age. My mother put me in a dance class, I think, when I was probably 4 or 5. I can't really remember much of it except that we would cross the room doing what we call pas chassé in French. I don't know what it is in English, just like do little jumps to the side on one side and the other. That's all I remember from that time. And when we moved to Paris, I went to another school, but it was always like once a week, twice a week. One teacher did say, well, she has potential, maybe she would like to become a dancer. My mother thought that was a joke. And yeah, and I did actually want to become a dancer at some point. It did grow in my head. And when I was 9, I think I tried to get into the Paris Opera School. And on that day, the selection goes like this. You go for a first day, they measure you. They put you on a weight, what do you say?
On a scale.
On the scale. Oh. They see how tall you are, how fat or big you are, what's your weight, and they see if you're flexible. They just take your leg and move it in all possible directions and your back. And obviously I was too tall. And so that was the end of it. And I just kept on dancing for my pleasure because I always loved it. Continued going to the dance school twice a week probably for many, many years. That's how the journey started. But it didn't come
So it was in France, in Paris, and you were around 5 and was just once a week, twice a week, nothing too serious. And your mom was supporting you in this new hobby, if we say no.
Yeah, it was an activity. I mean, I at the moment where I wanted to get into the Paris Opera School, it did get a little serious, but nobody in my family knew really about dance. It was a bit like, oh, she wants to become a dancer, but that's such a risky career, and if you break your leg, then that's the end of it, and there are so many other things she could do. So I guess I had support, but nobody pushed me in that direction anyway. But I still kept on taking classes. I happened to be, since I was probably 13 or something, in a very good conservatory. I was going there twice a week, but some of the students were professional. They would train with the teacher also every day in the afternoon. But I still kept on doing just twice a week, thinking, no, I'm too old already. Anyway, when I got to 14, 15, I thought, shame I didn't do it when I was a kid more and I didn't insist. And my teacher did tell me a few times, a shame that you don't want to become a dancer, you could. And I only started my professional training when I was 20.
20?
Yeah. I got into my studies were going good. I got into a business school. And we have this system in France where once you're in the school, so that's like master level, you have a lot of time on your hands. And I thought I would take this time to learn to dance properly, thinking I'll never go on stage, but I want to learn what it is to dance, to have a proper technique, and that's how it started. And when you start things are easy at the beginning. You think, oh, I'm making progress every day a bit more. The body's happy. And
the mind is happy.
The mind is happy, thinking I'm, discovering a whole new world after doing ballet, very amateur, for 10 years or 15 years.
So by the age of 20, you've been doing regularly twice a week dance lessons, and after 20 you actually accelerated and became more serious.
I totally changed the schedule. I did it every day, had at least 2 classes every day, at least one with my teacher. I had also private classes, of course, because you need to go back to basics. And I would go to open classes on top to, have other energies, a bit of fresh air, because I couldn't get into a professional school. That was the whole thing.
And by the age of 20, you also had all of your school graduation done. You also were doing
I was in a business school.
Business school.
But that took me, I made my schedule, I arranged the schedule so that I would only have to go to this school once a day for 3 hours usually. And so I could plan the rest of the day.
Well, that's pretty convenient.
Yeah, that was good.
And so how long were you then having this schedule of training more regularly, so getting into the basics, then growing up in intensity and
the whole time of this business school was 4 years. For this whole time I was training ballet, then more and more. I mean, from day one I did it every day, worked at home as well in front of my mirror for hours every day, just to get that dégagé and that hip stay in the places. Yeah, I get, yeah.
And so after 4 years.
That was 4 years, and then I continued, and then I thought, I'm gonna try it. Actually, at some point I thought, I want to go on stage. I'm very tall. Maybe I could try something like the Moulin Rouge. And then I went to see a show of the Moulin Rouge, and I didn't really like it, very honestly.
The show style, the show off.
I didn't feel it would be my... At that time, I didn't feel it could be my universe. I didn't feel I would fit. I was also very, very skinny, much too skinny, because those beautiful dancers in the Moulin Rouge, they have
shapes.
They have shapes, although they're very skinny. They have shapes and stuff, and I was just like one line of bones. And so I thought, I'm just going to give it a try. And if it doesn't work out with ballet, I'm just going to give myself a few years. And if it doesn't work out, then it doesn't. But life is short, and there's only one life. Yeah. And I knew I would have my business degree anyway, so it's not that I was like diving in there.
This is so interesting, because usually dancers get their dance education and then they worry about the rest of the academics that they have to somehow pursue and get to any kind of degree. And for you was actually, I will have my business degree. Yeah. I can do the best of my time to become a dancer.
Yeah.
It's a very interesting flip of the story of a usual random dancer who would like go and train for 10 years and then suddenly at age of 20 something, 30, 35 by latest would be having no academic background, have to start from zero.
Yeah.
But for you it turned out pretty nice.
It turned out, well, it was long, because after I finished the business school I was still not ready to get into a company at all, I must be honest. I started trying, but auditions I was far. My level was not at all the level of entering a company. But I started working a bit, like doing kind of a practicum for a company where it would be just a very like half-time, part-time job that would allow me to continue paying for my dance classes and start auditioning more. And at the age of 25, I got my very first contract, which I thought, coming.
Wow.
Yeah. I was, at the time where I thought, okay, Eléonore, you're turning 25 at the end of the year. What are you doing now? And this one summer, it was in 2006, I spent the summer in New York. My best friend was there for 3 months, and he said, just come over, spend time with me there. Just going to have fun, and you're going to, maybe you can try auditions in the US or something. and take class. And classes in New York are absolutely fantastic. All the dancers of ABT, New York City Ballet, are in training every morning. And it was a whole new world for me. And the body just copies. You take so much from those dancers just from having them next to you. Not that I dance at their level at all. It's not what I'm saying. But it made me evolve a lot in a few weeks. And I did audition in a few places, but also I auditioned in Montreal for the Nutcracker. They have a Nutcracker every year, Nutcracker season, and they always need extras because the company is not that big. At the time it was, I think, 30, 35 dancers. They would take at least 15 extra more. It's a big, nice Nutcracker. Yeah, it's a beautiful production of the Nutcracker. And I got the job. And that was quite fantastic. It was my very first professional contract.
That's amazing. So technically 5 years of really devoted training took you all the way to Canada for your first contract for Nutcracker.
Yeah.
So,
which doesn't mean it was the start and then it was, I was on my way. It doesn't mean it was but it was a first contract. But then the whole year after this, I got nothing else. And then did this Nutcracker again the following year. But it was still, I must say, those years, I did this Nutcracker in Montreal 3 years in a row. And it's been a little like going through the desert, because in between I was still working in Paris and taking classes and trying to improve, not really finding my way. I had a wonderful teacher, but at some point you need more, I really missed going to a professional school, having different teachers, having different input from different people.
Pair of eyes also looking, seeing different
and
little details.
Exactly.
And what about different styles of dance? Were you
as well? I always tried to go to contemporary training in Paris and stuff. Those open classes were never very, very good. I think it's really not like what you get in the professional schools where choreographers come for you, where you really work on material.
It's very different. You have to choose your own schedule and pick for your, I do classical. I also do need contemporary, so I'm going to take these and these classes with these and these teachers.
Yeah.
Technically, you have kind of built up your own schedule and your own classes with your choice of teachers and engagements, which you would be provided by the school. You wouldn't have to think about it, but you were in a position where you had to actually combine all of these.
If I'm very honest, my major focus was still ballet, because it's so much. It's not like you can do one class of ballet and one class of something else and one class of something else. It is so much. That's how it is.
And in Paris, did you have good peers to kind of, hang out with in the studio, to get motivated by, inspired, because you were technically by yourself? Did you have a group of dancers to keep up with?
It wasn't so easy. Actually, my group of friends, because I wasn't dancing at a younger age, all of my friends, my closest friends, were not dancers, which is great. To keep you, to keep your feet on the ground and to keep you also connected to other things. But where I was working with my teacher, when I started actually the first daily classes with her, I was 20. The other dancers were like 14, 15. It was not so easy, and I can't say I was friends with them. 2 or 3 were almost my age, but like year after year, they would all, one would stop, and then a year later another one would stop, and at the end there were only 2 of us. And then I would go also to open classes, and I would of course talk with people, but I don't remember really making friends there. Nothing like company life afterwards, nothing compared.
So I remember in school, the support was pretty great from the peers around, from my schoolmates. I'm sure we were all pushing through together.
Yeah.
When it comes to exams or performances, and it was, the power of the team being a team.
Yeah, I guess for performances at the end of the year, probably. But it was a small school. It was not a professional school. So we had a performance at the end of the year that my teacher did in a very nice way, nice choreographies. We often had dancers from the opera, Paris Opera, coming to teach us like the original choreographies, or she would often invite Noëlla Pontois to teach us, or Dominique Alfouni. I mean, in this way, I was very, very lucky to work with those people as well, although we were not a professional school.
Yeah, but still, experience is important.
Yeah. No, this I got in only when I was in companies later. This group feeling.
And so you were in company in Canada for 3 seasons for Nutcracker.
Only Nutcracker, and then I would fly back to Paris.
And
the end of
what
the
was the
summer.
next step after Canada?
The next step after Canada was I started working with this one wonderful man, Pierre-Alain Perez, whom I met on a workshop not in Prague, in Ostrava, I think, somewhere in Czech Republic, one summer, and we really got on well. He was the teacher, one of the teachers there. He was pushing me in a very hard way, but in a great way, and we also got on very well. And I kept in touch with him afterwards, and at some point he moved back to Paris from Prague, and so I started working with him. And I must say, I discovered a whole new way of being pushed, of pushing myself, not in a, telling yourself, I'm so bad and I'm never going to make it, and telling yourself you're just going to do it over and over and over again until your muscles are built, until you can do it. And I had a probably very good placement before, and I had a very good basis, but not strength, nothing. And with him, I got this strength in my muscles, and I got this strength in my head as well. It was like, you're going to do it now, and you can do it, and you're good enough to do it, which was very new to me, in a very healthy way. He did it. And he encouraged me to accept this one tour. There was this one company, French company, that toured in Germany for about ever. It was called Les Ballets Classiques de Paris. It was just a private company, and we would tour from little theater to little or bigger theater over a few weeks, a month, doing Nutcracker, doing Swan Lake. And that's been my next step, and it was a jump into the, another way of being a professional dancer, being able to dance under any kind of condition.
This was a touring company, and you took advantage of the chance to audition and to go and work with them and to travel around. For how long was this for?
The very first tour probably lasts 2 months, and then another month later, and then I toured again with them the year after that. But that was, I guess I learned a lot there. Being tougher, being not always in the best conditions to dance and still dancing. Before that, I would always be at least an hour before training in the studio to warm up, to prepare. I would be in the theater 3 hours before a show to make sure I would be warm and well made up and have my headpiece steady on my head.
This sounds so familiar.
And in this tour, I would just do my makeup, included lashes in the bus. I had a very good technique. In the bus, I would do my makeup and the lashes, because we would be in the theater not even an hour before the show. And we still have to do training. We would still do warm up, placement, makeup, blah blah blah. Putting your costumes where you need them, because there was nobody to
For the quick changes.
For the quick changes, everything in probably an hour. So I decided to do the makeup in the bus, so I would have at least those 20 minutes saved. But yeah, so you learn to do your job in another way. Not that it was the best conditions, not that we did the best shows at all, but we did something. And anyway, so that was the next step. And from then on, I auditioned in Germany. I did a little tour of auditions in Germany, and I got a first job in Magdeburg. After this, I got 2 offers, one in Magdeburg and one at the Schaufhaus Ballet, and I said yes to Magdeburg.
So out of the tour, you were ending up with 2 offers?
Well, the same year.
The same year.
Yeah. And I got the chance in between to do a beautiful production of Swan Lake in Prague in the summer with this Pierre-Alain Perez who I was working with. Beautiful production in the Prague Opera, and then I jumped into my next contract in Magdeburg.
Nice.
And that was the beginning of the German German story.
of the German story.
German journey. The German journey. Yeah.
The German journey.
Yeah.
So Magdeburg, that was your first, so to say, longer term, fixed professional.
Exactly. It was tricky. It was my first. At the beginning, I had only 5 months of contract. I was there for a pregnant lady. It turned out to be a whole season, and I was 27, and I didn't tell anybody how old I was, and also I didn't tell anybody that I had started dancing so late because I felt like I was, how do you say, an imposter? I was
outside.
Not even an outsider, that I really didn't belong there. I wanted to belong there, but I felt if I would say what my road had been and what my path had been until then, everybody would look down at me and think, what are you doing here? And I felt, I was at the age where I should be knowing the job very well, having enough experience and self-confidence that I, would know stuff. And I was still learning. Also, any tricks in pas de deux, there was things I had never done because we hardly had a guy at school. Sometimes there was a dancer coming and doing some pas de deux with us, but I didn't have those things that you learn at school. So just always.
So you had your eyes and ears open.
Everything open.
Absorbing everything.
Getting out, trying as much as I could. Yeah.
So that you can fit perfectly.
Trying to, as much as I could. Yeah. I was never. I fooled no one. I was never the strong technical dancer and never became the strong technical dancer. But I hope I did the job in the core, and I hope when they asked me to dance stuff that were more solo. Magdeburg, I did solo, but not dancing really. It was more like expressing. But also later, I hope I could give whatever I had to give that was not so technical. Anyway.
All the aesthetics and artistics that you're gifted with. I know you. So technically, from traveling all over the places, living in a bus, having to change in the bus, doing makeup in the bus, and exploring the holes on the stage for a couple of minutes before the show.
Yeah, the holes in the stage.
Figuring out where the dressing rooms are, how many coulisses or curtains you have backstage, and where your exit and entrance should be. Then suddenly you find yourself in a theater house, and you experience a season there where you are technically safe, taken care of, and you just have to perform and deliver for the audience.
Don't even have to do your own makeup. You just go to makeup, sit, and let somebody make yourself.
How did you feel?
I loved it. I felt under a lot of pressure, as I was saying, because of these circumstances. It was. I wanted to do it good, and I was loving it. I felt very lucky because we all know how it is. How many people want to become dancers, and how many people actually get to dance. And I always thought that might be the only time I have a contract, so I'm going to do it. Gonna love it, and I did love it. I discovered as well musicals, because when you're in Germany, you're in theaters. In most companies, you do musicals as well. So discovered also a whole new way of working with singers. And all those details, like you don't have to buy your pointers anymore. They give you the pointers, stuff like this. You still have to sew your pointers and do everything, but
here we come to this major difference of freelance work and fixed work in a company, where
for me it was more going from being
different lives.
I was, in my feeling, I was going from having no job to having a job, and it felt actually really good. But it was always uncertain. I had a 5-month contract that got prolonged to a season, but maybe the day before my contract ended, in the 5th month.
And
then at the end of the season, I didn't know what to. They were not keeping me in the company, and I was auditioning. I had one contract for Dortmund, this Swan Lake production where I met you, but in between nothing, and then things just piled up. They called me again in Magdeburg. That is, the 2nd season in Germany was just guesting in Magdeburg, going back on tour on the bus, and then having the chance to go to guest in Kaiserslautern in the Frace Theater at that time for a few months, then going to Dortmund to do Swan Lake and finish the season.
This time in Dortmund, this is where we met, technically. Yeah. Although we kind of had a little interaction in between regarding the shows, the touring company.
I cannot say the story.
Where we no, you should not. This is too dangerous to say the story. But anyways, we went kind of on the phone without knowing that we're going to meet later on in the theater house in Dortmund. But
that same year,
there was quite of an experience. I must say, it was a privilege to be together with you, the tallest swan in the lake, in the lake and in the line.
Exactly. So for people who don't know us, we were the tallest swan on each line,
giving cues to each other across stage.
Yeah.
A little blink, a little.
And now you change the arm.
And then you change the arm, or you change the épaulement, and then you change the whole line. Then we used to follow.
And now it's the battle. And now we're going to da 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 dun 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 dun. Exactly.
That was fun.
Yeah, that was a nice time.
But it's important to have such good. I must say, we kind of had good relationship as colleagues and friends in the core, and this is important for delivering a good performance.
Absolutely.
Because
and it's also important for us. Why do we do this job if we don't have any connection with other people on stage? What do you give to your audience if it's, there's a wall between us when we're on stage? It's not going to happen.
Exactly. And unfortunately, we have experienced exactly the opposite too, at least I know from my side. Not very friendly circumstances, environment in the core, and having to dance with the same people and deliver high quality of work, but not happening the way it happened in Dortmund. Do you remember we got feedback that we were better than the Marinsky's one, like the core for Dortmund?
Okay, whoever said that probably had too much drink.
But they were able to say that, so it's already something.
Okay, well.
Because we were so precise.
I'm sure we're very precise.
I've seen video of us dancing. We were so precise.
We had wonderful. The lines. We should name our wonderful ballet mistress back then, Lynn Charles, right?
Yes, Lynn Charles. She's the one.
She didn't make our life easy, but it was a wonderful journey as well. And
she made us
such a good work. She made it what it was. She made the quality.
Yeah, but I kind of felt that I'm doing high quality work, and so I was happy with myself.
Yeah.
Because being in the core is not easy.
It's not, especially not in Swan Lake.
No, you have to have certain abilities to be able to handle everything, and the group of people that we were working with were very nicely instructed, so we all kind of
it was a very good group of dancers.
We had to do and deliver it.
Yeah.
It was a nice experience.
It was a beautiful production.
And from there on, our paths separated, and you were on your way to...
I went then to Kaiserslautern, where I happily spent 4 seasons. I say happily, happily, because then I was finally you start with a 2 years contract that gets renewed every year. So it is some kind of security first, not that it was the only thing I was looking for, but after those years of being on the road and never being sure I'm going to dance the next day, it felt very good. And there's always something. I felt we were probably not having enough shows. We only had usually 2 ballet premieres a year. Sometimes a Wiederaufnahme, sometimes not, and then musicals 2 or 3. I always felt we would have had the time for another premiere or for a little bit more work, but there have been some wonderful moments there. Kaiserslautern is 2.5 hours away from Paris with the train, so on my free time I could also go and visit my friends and family back home, which was a very big privilege. It's always silly to say it, but it does matter for your everyday life. And also I got to, when you're a few years in a theater, you get people to know you, to trust you, you get a known audience to know you. You grow. I have the feeling I really grew. And as a dancer, you really have to, I think this life in the company is where you learn. You learn because you have to do it every day, because you have to do it no matter which role they gave you, no matter how you're feeling on that day. It's just every day you have to put up with the colleagues, be able to work with them. with your choreographers, with your ballet director, and you're just learning a lot. I feel now as a freelancer, I wouldn't be able to freelance if I hadn't been in a company before. I wouldn't know the discipline as much. I wouldn't know the regularity probably as much. And I loved it. We had a beautiful studio, so every day was a pleasure to get into this. You've seen it, right? It was this huge, wonderful studio for quite a small company. We were 13, 14 dancers. Huge studio, huge windows, where some companies have their studio in the underground. I felt very privileged there. A good theater, some very good productions, a wonderful orchestra. And some wonderful moments on stage.
So what was the biggest lesson that you took from the company work in these two companies that you were in Germany, Magdeburg and Paris? Since your journey at 27 and theater house started, so what was the discipline? Was it the routine? Was it
a bit of everything? It was also just being able to do it every day, learning to dance no matter how you feel, no matter how tired you are, no matter what hurts, because something always hurts. Learning to take care of yourself so you're not going to get too badly injured, hopefully. Till now it's been quite okay. It's dealing with being a dancer on a daily basis and being paid for it, so you can't really mess up. And I didn't want to mess up, but yeah, you don't have the excuse, well, nobody's waiting for me in class, so I just don't go. Yeah, of course. You're supposed to go, you go. I wanted to go anyway, I would go. So when it was hybrid, I would also go when we had 2 days off. I would go on one of those days to work on my own. I'm one of those people.
You're such a hard worker.
But yeah, because I started so late, I felt I always had so much to, not even to prove, but to be at the level of the other ones. Maybe I was wrong, maybe I was, but I felt technically I always had to get stronger. I wasn't as strong as people who had done a normal school, started at 10, 13. So I had to work more.
And how would you compare the work ethic and the work culture, also the environment between Canada, so North America, and Europe, Germany? Was it a huge difference just going back in time to Canada experiences and then turning forth to Germany? How would you compare those two?
Hard to say, because when I was in Canada, I was always one of the extras. I was never really a part of the company of the Grand Ballet de Montréal. And this company was more doing contemporary work the rest of the season. It would be their major classical piece, the Nutcracker. There was always a lot of enthusiasm, but also a lot from the extras, of course. Maybe there was more enthusiasm, maybe that's the American way, I don't know, to be, more, to speak out more, to be more lively maybe than Europeans. But all in all, I would say all the dancers I've met, all the ballet companies, people were usually very dedicated. They were always the 1 or 2 or 3 people who came every morning, not happy that they were there. And I always wondered, why are you there then? Why are you thousands of kilometers away from home if you're not happy here, and if you don't like your job, and if you don't like the city, just do something else. But apart from those, always somewhere 1 or 2 people, I always felt the work ethic was there. I mean, you don't get to become a ballet dancer if you're not gonna work your ass off. So,
But was it somehow more strict there, or was it more strict in Germany? Or you can't really compare those two?
No, I guess I would put them quite on the same level actually, but it's just my experience of 1 company in Canada and 3 companies in Germany.
And
what I can compare though, sorry, I'm coming back now in time. When I did this Swan Lake in Prague, it was just 1 summer production, but half of the dancers were coming from a Russian company from Moscow. Not the Bolshoi, like the 2nd or 3rd company there. And they were very impressive, these dancers. Some of them would still go out every night and, come trashed after having slept an hour, if an hour at all, in training and rehearsal the next day. Still, they would be so precise in their work. To see those dancers in their pas de bras in Swan Lake, just how they would do it. And then I remember the Spanish dance where they would like bang their head on their buttocks and be like super sexy, and then fourth act again and being very light swans and very dedicated. They were amazing.
How were they doing?
I don't know. They were absolutely fantastic. Jeans, hard work. They were absolutely fantastic. There again, I learned so much just from looking at them. Just, in the Swan Lake, the way they would place their shoulder, their arm, their look, how they would still be breathing and living just in this pose. Not like dying. No one was playing the dying swan in the line. They were all like, it was fantastic. Those were very impressive dancers. Yeah, there was a different work ethic with the Russians.
I have not experienced work in Russia. I have experienced work with some Russian dancers, and I must say I have noticed something very similar in their way of being out of the studio and then in the studio or on stage. And then you just wonder, how do you even survive? How are you even walking today after not sleeping for the whole night?
Yeah, it wasn't all of them, but yeah.
Just to compare now, they have their way of work, but other dancers as us, let's say, who not go and waste their energy at night, but actually go and waste their energy on extra training. Have you been extra training anything besides classical training in terms of any kind of physical or mental extra whatever activity out of the studio? So to support your body, your mind?
Yeah. Actually, that was a mistake I made of my teacher in Paris, who always said you don't have to do any other kind of training, bar is enough. And that was very wrong in my case, because I have quite weak muscles and I would have needed to really make them stronger from the top. Didn't happen. When I was in companies, I did notice other dancers going to the gym, like also quite regularly. In Montreal, I saw they were doing it, but I was so dead from learning so much, and it was my first experience there. I couldn't do anything else. But in Magdeburg, I started sometimes going to the gym. I wasn't regular enough. I had the wonderful chance when I was in Kaiserslautern to get there at the time where one of the colleagues was about to leave the company and started a Pilates training. And so she bought a machine and started offering the dancers of the company trainings at her place to learn for herself as well. And so I started with her, being just curious, and I noticed right away, oh, this is helping me a lot. Okay, I'll go on. And then I went on with her, and then she opened a studio. Her name is Olga Anikienko. She's wonderful. And then she opened a Pilates studio in Kaiserslautern, and then I just continued. And then she got all the machines, all the possible Pilates machines, and it was wonderful. I would train with her once a week, either just me or with one or two of the other dancers. And so that was a very great chance to get stronger. And of course, then you pick some exercises that you do. I probably wasn't, I wasn't doing it every day, but it became part of my routine. Definitely.
So Pilates
came, which is now. I did this on my extra time in Kaiserslautern. What I also did, which was kind of, I thought, preparing the future and also learning something new, was I started taking singing lessons. That was actually thank you to another very dear friend, Christopher Tölle. I met him. He did a choreography of a musical when I was in Magdeburg, and we became very good friends. And he told me a few times, you should learn singing. And I always said, I cannot sing, I'm not a singer. He was like, yeah, that's what you should learn. Everybody can sing. Until I thought, why not? So I started taking singing lessons in Kaiserslautern with one of the singers of the theater, Astrid Fosberg, whom I loved very much as a person. So I felt very confident with her, because I tell you, it's something. When you're a dancer, you can do everything with your body. You can go naked on stage. You could do whatever weird stuff. You're fine. But to open your mouth and to let a sound come out of it, wow, that was the beginning of a new journey. And the way is still very, very long. But I love this. I love this, and once I had started, I really tried to be steady in doing a bit of vocal work every day or every second day.
Well, once our paths crossed again in Berlin,
Yeah.
I have heard you sing not only one time.
That's
And
true.
I must say that you have mastered this skill very, very well. And I was genuinely enjoying to see a friend of mine who, first of all, masters her body so well, to be able to master her voice, which is not so common for classical dancers.
Because ballet takes so much of your energy, of your person. I don't. But maybe I experienced it like this because I started my professional training so late, and so I dedicated everything I had, all my emotions, all my time, all my energy to ballet. But I guess, I know a lot of dancers who play the piano, for instance, who had a musical education as kids. Maybe ballet and singing are not meant to be. It's a very different kind of breathing.
Yeah, it is different. But if we speak about dancers who are rather in a more modern company, then you do have some vocal work there, because sometimes they include speaking or singing on stage.
Or just breathing loud.
Or breathing loud. But there in Amsterdam, there are also schools for musical artists. So dancers who participate mainly in musicals, so they are required to dance well and to sing well. So
yeah, that's the musical.
For example, if you have these kind of shows, and there you have to really master your voice. But otherwise, classical dancers, unless you have inspiration from an external person, then I don't have any friends who are classical dancers and sing. I myself have never sung. I cannot sing. Like, see, I have to meet your friend to tell me.
I know of a few who, after their ballet career, turned into a quite successful musical career. Not many.
Not many.
I know 2.
But by this time of your career, you have your business education, so you have your business degree. You have your career as a professional elite dancer in Germany. You are starting your Pilates training, and you are also starting your singing training.
So I'm opening doors. Although the Pilates back then, it was just for me. It was just to try and be stronger.
So where did all of these things take you? What was the next step?
Next step was resigning from Kaiserslautern. Our ballet director left. We had 1 season with choreographers coming, which was interesting. And after that season, I decided what the company was going to become was nothing for me. And I didn't have any family in Kaiserslautern. I had a few friends, but nothing was holding me there. And I was missing the big city, I must be very honest, coming from Paris. And didn't want to come back to Paris. And so I thought, heck, why not? I'll just try and go to Berlin. I had 2 friends in Berlin, you and my friend Christopher, whom I mentioned already. And that was about it. And I thought, it's probably very easy to get a flat in Berlin, in which I was wrong. And I probably won't find jobs or anything for a while, but I'll figure something out, on which I was wrong as well. I found jobs right away. I was very lucky. And so I resigned from Kaiserslautern, moved to Berlin, was very lucky in finding a beautiful apartment I'm now still in right away, and finding this contract, so getting this contract for the production of Frau Luna in the Tipi that I started right after the summer I got in Berlin. And so that was a wonderful experience.
So technically your singing lessons were already
My singing lessons paid off. They got me into this contract. Yeah, it was an operetta made in the Berliner style with wonderful, not musical Darsteller, but more the Kabarettisten, they say in Germany, in Berlin, who were playing all the main roles. And we were 8 dancers and singers, so all of them musical trained dancers and singers, and me trying to get at their level and having such an amazing time, so much fun, an amazing show, really a fantastic show. Nothing I had done before. I mean, I had done musicals in the theaters, but this was in the teepee. So for the people who don't know it, it's a tent. It's like a circus tent, but a big one in the middle of the Tiergarten, in the middle of Berlin. And we played for 3 months every night, and it was fantastic. And I made very dear friends there, so that you, Elita, were not my only friend in Berlin anymore. But so you have your time back. Just a wonderful journey to just arrive in Berlin, get to work in Berlin right away, and not start as a freelance, starting traveling around right away. And I felt so lucky. We did that show 3 seasons in a row on top, so it kept me working and it just threw me on the freelance road.
I had the pleasure to see the show and to see you singing and dancing, and I was so amazed. I was like, this is my friend. She can sing and she can dance at the same time.
It's not only as one.
Yeah. I've seen dance in Swan Lake, and then in Fraulon, it was such a different experience. Because in Fraulon, you have the audience so close to the stage, and
we would run in the audience.
Yeah, the dancers running it was so different, and I was so happy to see that you can interpret in so many different roles.
Oh yeah.
And still be my Eleonore.
Yeah.
And it was very nice. And from there on, next step that we took.
From then on, then I really thought I'm gonna try and freelance as much as I can. The idea was I'm probably not gonna have enough contracts when I get to Berlin, become a freelancer. I was back then 35, something like this, 34, 35. I thought I'm gonna maybe find something on the side. Oh yeah, I had this one idea that I would recycle point shoes. I thought I would make something interesting and something useful for
Which I have
society.
Never heard about before. Recycling point shoes is.
Some people sometimes
very
do it
innovative.
like making it into a piece of art or something. But I thought, you can recycle material into industrial material for the walls or stuff. Like your clothes, when they're too old and you can't resell them or give them away, they can still use the
actual thing.
The actual thing, the old clothes, to make it into industrial material for the walls, isolation or whatever. And I had read that they were starting to do this with shoes as well. Like, put shoes into different pieces, the different materials away from each other, so that they can recycle it as well. And of course, when you're a dancer and you're, put everything in the yellow bin, the blue bin, and the blah, blah, blah. But your point shoes, you throw how many pairs of point shoes a week, a month, a year in the bin, and that just disappears. It always made me crazy. I always tried to keep my shoes as much as I could.
Tons.
Also because I was lazy and didn't like to sew the shoes, I tried to keep them alive as long as I could. And I did, but still.
Little dancer tip here. Trying to keep your shoes as long as possible. So
let
you don't
them
have
dry
to
for another 2 months, and then you can use them again, at least for a class or 2. That's one tip. And sew the platform. That keeps them on forever. Anyway, but yeah, and I always thought, what a waste. If we don't do anything, there's material in there, there's leather in there, there's so much. And it's just thrown into the bin. And so I spent quite a lot of time trying to get in touch with recycling companies and trying to put a project together and trying to be realistic in how I could collect the shoes. And I wasn't even planning on making money, just like organizing a system that would run by itself. But it never really worked out. The recycling companies that recycle shoes were just like at the trying point back then. And they said, we already received more than enough shoes and we have to destroy most of it anyway. So anyway, that was me trying to do other stuff on the side, which never really worked. So I did Frau Luna. I did another beautiful contract in Lübeck, Mass, which was, I think, the last time I went on stage with brown shoes. It was the Holy Spirit with 3 of my colleagues. Anyway, and then times got a little hard, I would say. Contracts were not coming from the sky, obviously, not falling from the sky. I did Frau Luna again, and I got injured running into the audience. But badly injured for the very first time in my life. Being a freelancer. Not a good...
Oh boy, not a good
combination. And chance destiny, one of my friends and colleagues in Frau Luna at that time was just about to start a Pilates training to become a teacher 2 weeks after I got injured. And I thought, you know what, I'm going to do this program with her. Because I have time on my hands now, it's always a good card to have in your pocket. I did a lot of Pilates already for myself, so it can't be that hard. And so I started this training, and it went fine, and quite fast, actually. After 2 or 3 months already, studios started to ask me to teach. And it went really fast until I was teaching, actually, in Berlin in 3 different studios. And that summer I started teaching in 3 different studios.
So this is when you get lemons and you make lemonade out of them. This is what happened with your injury.
Exactly, yeah, but you're a freelancer, you get injured, you're not going to be able to dance for probably, I thought 3 months, but I knew it was going to be more. And everybody said it was going to be more. So
I remember your injury was quite tough.
Yeah.
I remember how your ankle was looking like.
Yeah.
And
the colleagues say it looks like your foot ate an orange.
Oh boy.
No, it wasn't good. Torn ligaments, I mean, nothing special, it just needs time to heal. And I thought, now I'm, at the end of my 30s, can't dance for a little while. It's always good to have this card in my pockets. And as a dancer, I always had to fight to get a contract, and suddenly contracts were actually falling from the sky. So I thought, I'm just gonna take this as it's coming, and started teaching, continued to dance, continued to have contracts, went on a ship. I did a bit of show dance, which was a lot of fun.
Which takes us back to your very first thought about Paris Univers.
Exactly.
And several years later, you were confident enough.
Exactly. It's me being, a freelancer in Berlin, tall enough, kicking my leg high enough that I get hired for this showgirl show, which was fun.
How did you feel in comparison to dancing musical operettas and classical pieces, then suddenly having the show moves, the show?
It was a challenge because all of my colleagues were used to doing this. They were beautiful showgirls, and I was not as experimental as they were. And also, you have to be very versatile in the way that you have. Every number is very different from the other one. You basically have no time to learn it. You have to be really quick. It's not like you have a 6 weeks rehearsal time to put on a show together. You have 5 days to learn 3 shows that you're going to do on the ship. Something like this. I don't remember exactly, but I remember it's being really quick. So it's a different kind of challenge, like this as well. Being very efficient, do the best you can, do it good. Let the audience know you're good and you love it, and they're gonna love you. And then being so lonely on the ship and the ocean, which is fun.
Something I can definitely just slip in my experience, or some of my first experiences in the show dance world, where I had to learn the choreography or the choreographies for a minimum amount of time. And I was so worried that I'm gonna mess up next day on the show that I was just falling asleep, repeating the steps again and again, kind of like affirmation thing. But making sure that I train my mind, that I know which step comes after which step.
Yeah.
So that I'm so prepared that even there is any kind of circumstance or stage next day, because it can be a live TV show or any kind of event that it's just taking place without long enough preparation. You have to be prepared in your mind. So I was making sure that I remember every little transition. I was remembering the counts, the syncopated moments, because I'm not good at syncopation. And it was so stressful. So comparing company life with being a freelancer, especially in the show dance world, these are two different things.
It's different words. You really need, you would think, oh, maybe it's not, that kind of dancing is not so hard as doing swan. Like, first, that's not true. And second, you really need to have experience already and to have danced several styles so that you're able better, I mean, as good as you can to fit into each number, because you're going
and to have the freedom from inside to actually express some kind of emotion with the dancing together.
Got that far, but
this was very challenging thing for me. So I can imagine you having your first show dance must have been on stage.
Yeah, I mean, because I had done many musicals in the theaters before, at least I knew I wasn't coming only from the being in the tutu to this, but yeah, and I loved it too.
And you were finding yourself on a ship in the ocean. I remember you sending me pictures from beautiful beaches with palm trees,
wonderful places,
blue water and golden sun.
Yeah, that was a treat. I did it only once, but I must say I would lie if I just said I didn't enjoy it, of course. I'm not sure I support this way of traveling and blah, 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 but that's not our topic tonight.
Climate issues.
Climate issues, social issues. There's a lot to say about the ships, actually. But anyway, I was there for 10 days and we had a wonderful life. We were treated like princesses and princes. And it was really nice.
And on the ships, you do not really have rehearsals? Did you have some preparation for yourself?
We had rehearsed beforehand in Berlin enough that we would be ready. Like, we had, I think, 3 shows or 4 shows. Everything would be ready, and we'd still have one afternoon or one day of rehearsal for each show on the ship. It was very well organized, so that you can say her name by Ophelia Vilarova, who is a wonderful organizer. And she also does the choreographies. She has the company. It's amazing work she does there. She has all the costumes. Amazing work she's doing there. And so she also wants to, once we're on the ship, have a bit of time to enjoy it. For us, for her, for everybody, do as much as the work that can be done beforehand. So, but that's because she does it this way and she's very, very well organized.
So technically by this point you had experienced pretty much every style of dancing, or most of you can experience in a company and as a freelancer.
I don't know, there's so much more. I mean, I have done a bit of contemporary in companies, but not that much.
Okay, maybe
I haven't done hip hop. I haven't done
hip hop
so
and
big.
belly dances, but still everything that can get you on a
dance.
high professional level in company and freelance.
Say in
touring.
Europe. But like many dancers, that's always the question. That's probably where we're going now. You dance as a ballet dancer, and we always know, all of us know, this has an end. And you're not going to be 60 or 65 when it ends. You might be 25, 30, 35, but you're not going to be older than 40. And, some of us decide to continue going on stage. That's why I learned singing. That's why I open up to other styles, and that's why I'm still going on stage. And I wouldn't go on stage being a ballet dancer anymore now. The topic of what are we doing after this is for all of us, a huge issue. I guess some people know from the start exactly. Some people like me want to keep going on stage because it's not just about ballet, it's about being on stage and about, getting those emotions out, giving to people, getting this connection with the audience, this exchange, this applause at the end is like a drug. This is
why we all want to be on stage.
It's a drug. It's a healthy drug, I think, but it's also a drug. And it's also, I think, when you still feel like you can give something on stage, then you should try and do it.
It's kind of experience for the soul itself. You not just because there's audience and they receive something, but because you are there creating something. It's one-time thing. You created today in this way. Tomorrow it will be maybe the same choreography, but it will be completely different
expression.
And the will, so you do it with other people on
Vibration,
stage.
energy,
What you
synergy that you have with other people on
Exactly.
stage would be
what you share is
one-time
amazing.
thing.
And we all know it makes very special bonds. I mean, we have special bonds with the people we went on stage with, of course. Not always,
Magic
but
of art, the magic of stage.
yeah, it is something very special. And so this question of what do you do afterwards? And I guess for me, it's been a bit like, after years of having one goal, one idea, and wanting to do one thing and putting all of my energy in it, which was being a ballet dancer, which happened. I thought, I'm going to sing, and I got those different contracts. I started teaching, and I was surprised that I liked it as well. Teaching Pilates, I'm talking about now.
You were also teaching ballet class at some point.
I started this later, because we have in Berlin this wonderful opportunity to do the ballet training in the Deutsche Oper for the open ballet. So it's open to professional dancers. You have to audition there. And once you're in this group, so to speak, you can take the training every morning for free, and the person who's giving the training is also not getting paid. It's kind of a give and take. And at some point when I got there, I had been teaching a few times for colleagues or stuff, but not really. But sometimes I was there already for 2 years, maybe, or 3 years, and sometimes nobody would be there to teach. And I thought, maybe I'll try. I'll give the training once. I had done it actually in some productions, that's true. No, I had been teaching already before. And so I thought, just to be ready in case, because I can't really improvise a class, I will just prepare one class. And if one day nobody's there, then I can teach.
Oh, that's so nice. You actually prepared something in case that...
Yeah, because I knew I wouldn't be able to improvise.
Yeah.
And it did happen that nobody was there to teach one day, and so I taught, and some people asked if I could do it again. And so I did it just a few times. But people seemed to be happy. And I thought I would push a bit in this direction as well, but then Corona happened. Everything closed. I did take training with some friends. We rented a studio and I was teaching still. So I still have this in the back of my head. I would like to get back to this at some point. I'm not doing it right now. We're still at the end of Corona. I'm taking this wonderful training in the Deutsche Oper. Is not happening at the moment for obvious reasons. So nobody needs me to teach there.
But you're obviously very popular in the Pilates world in Berlin.
Popular.
Don't be too modest now.
I've been working in those studios, and now I also have some private clients. Yeah, I'm happy with. I must say, I've been discovering something that I didn't know I could do. And also I thought I did Pilates for myself as a dancer. I knew the benefits of Pilates for a dancer. I didn't really know it would be good for anybody. And when I did my training and started teaching, I was scared I could not understand normal person's body, that is a non-dancer's body. And actually, yes. Everybody, still 2 legs, 2 knees, 2 elbows, 1 spine. We all build the same, basically. So, and it's, you see the improvements on people's bodies right away. You see that you make people feel better, have less pain, be more confident, be more happy at the end of the class because they've been, working for 1 hour and using their bodies, which most people don't do because they sit in front of their computers all day long. And it's, you go on stage and you give something for people's souls and people's entertainment. And then you go into a Pilates studio and teach a Pilates lesson, and you do something for people's bodies and people's backs, say. And it is very gratifying. And it is a lot of human sharing and, using my own experience as a dancer and of work on the body, very precise work because I started when I was 20. It always gets back also to this learning dance as a grown-up person and not as a kid, being very conscious of everything I was doing with my body when I learned dancing. Probably helps me being a very precise Pilates teacher, I guess. Probably a pain in everybody's.
And you had to find also the correct approach for working
with people who are not that aware of their bodies, as you said.
Yeah, it is interesting because you really see, you know, dancers, of course, we know our bodies, it's our tool. We've trained to get to know it if we didn't from the start. But you see on people who are not working with their bodies, some have a very good awareness, some not. Some know they can do something for their body and feel better. Some think, I'm just going to the Pilates class, like they give me their body and I have to do something, and then they take it back at the end of the hour, like they will put a kid into the dance class, until they realize, no, it's their body, they have to do it. I'm only talking, but they're the ones to do it. It's a very interesting journey. And when I love to have people I follow. I mean, I've been teaching now for 3 years. There are people I've been following either in group classes or in solo classes for all this time. And we do improve in some ways or another. It's a research, it's a dialogue. It's, you know, searching together, okay, what can be done now? Where are we going? Okay, you're not feeling so good today. How can we make you, you know, feel a little bit better? Or, okay, now you're strong. Let's make you stronger. Or let's make you... Anyway, anything. There are many ways to explore, and I love this, actually.
And what was the strongest skill that you were able to get from or grab from Pilates, from training itself? What did it provide for you, for your body, or what skill it improved?
I guess, I mean, there would still be a long way, but it may be a little stronger, a little more compact. I'm very tall. I'm not very flexible, but still I'm very shaky. I never knew where my axis was. I still don't know. And, you know, getting your core together, getting muscles stronger, getting your arms stronger, getting your back stronger, with a lot of work on the machines as well. So for me, it was more about being stronger. It was not about being more flexible. I still had enough for ballet, but yeah, I don't have, you know, some people have strong muscles in a quite natural way. I have nothing. My muscles are like...
For those of you who do not know, Eléonore is a tall, beautiful, very elegant dancer. And as a representative of the tall dancers, I would like her to tell me, how did you find training in company? Was it back to the company life quickly? How did you find training there? Was it somehow managed for people with different heights? Or you didn't really find this, pay attention to this question? Because it's very important. These are two very different biomechanical systems.
It is very different, and I don't
A dancer
think...
who is 175, 180, and a dancer who is 165, 160, I'm sorry, you can't combine them together. But how did you experience this?
The only time I took a class where I felt this is made for me, in a way, was, this takes me back to when I did this first tour in the bus. Our very first day in Germany, we were in Hamburg, and we had half of the day off before we would get on the bus and go to our first show in Kiel. I still remember all of this. And so we're in Hamburg, and with 3 of my friends from Paris, who were also on the tour, we think, we have the morning off and we're in Hamburg. We're going to the company and ask if we can take training with them. No shame. And so we did. And they said, okay. Because half of the company was in the theater, half of the company were where they had the studio, so the studio was in full. There was no corona at that time. And they were really nice, and they said, yeah, we'll ask the teacher. And the teacher said yes. And so we took the class. And as you probably know, in Hamburg, all the dancers are really tall. I mean, not all the dancers, many of the dancers are really tall. And I don't know if it's because I was surrounded by these also very tall ladies, or that I found I was nothing special, I was just normal and not the giant anymore. Or if it's because the class was made in a different way. It was only once, so I cannot tell. But my dancing was very different. That day I could do things I had never done in my life, and I probably never did again that way.
Wow.
So yes, there must be a different training. After that, I never experienced it again. I was always the tallest as well. Almost.
In the club of the tallest ones.
Yeah.
It's a challenge.
It's a challenge still. I have seen some huge women dancers who had a very, very strong technique. They did it in a different way than shorter ladies, for sure. But I remember seeing this huge woman, probably 180, 182, doing 4 pirouettes every time she turned in the class, and being very strong and very elegant and high legs. And
I wonder what kind of supplemental training she has been into. Would you recommend in Pilates for taller dancers in terms of them having stronger core in order to
for sure,
coordinate better
For
their
sure.
limbs?
Yeah,
Because Pilates can be very demanding on the core.
it is.
On the
That's
torso,
that's
back
the
and
main
front.
focus. It also gives, if you train on machines, you have a lot of work for the arms and the back, which is also very important for your pirouettes and everything. So definitely. And then you can also, of course, then have a lot of exercises that are really just made for dancers to work on height of legs or strength in having legs high or in your arabesque, or having a steady position if you want to pirouette if you want to do pirouette in arabesque or in attitude or anything. You can be very precise on.
So as
working on the
long
things.
as long as you have then a Pilates teacher who is either a former dancer or who
I guess
has
that's better.
very good knowledge of dance technique and dance demands on the human body, then Pilates can be a very good tool for actually improving
It is.
skills in ballet technique or in dance technique.
I'm sure. But still, it also really depends on each person. Maybe you need more cardio and stamina, and then Pilates is not enough. You need to go run, for instance. You can do both. Maybe some people will like gyrotonic more. It's probably on the same range, more three-dimensional. I don't know gyrotonic so well, so I'm not going to speak about it, but I think everybody should try different things and see which technique they like the best. Also, you need to find the person you like to train with, who understands you, who you feel comfortable with, whom you like spending some time out of work, because
You?
me, yeah, I'm in Berlin. But you know what I mean. It's important that you find a connection with the person who's going to train you outside of it.
But Pilates is also good for post-injury or even during injury. Keep in shape, keep active
Of
activity,
course.
or get back in shape, get back into muscle activity.
Pilates can really target so many different groups of muscles, so many different ways of moving and using the machines. You can really work on almost all the parts of your body.
I remember Pilates really helped me when I was recovering from major injury.
You did it with probably one of the best teachers in Berlin, in one of the best studios in Berlin.
Yes, I was very lucky to train with Joanna at her studio, Body Balance, here in Berlin, and I was very, I was excited to explore Pilates because she made it interesting. We used all kinds of equipment. I discovered how many weaknesses I had, besides the injury that I already had. And I had fun. I was like pushing through, and because I like to compete, either with other people or with myself. It was a little game every time. Am I gonna do this now better than last time or not? And she was also pushing me a little bit in this way. So my recovery was with good company, good training, good guidance. So I do definitely recommend Pilates for those dancers who need to either recover or keeping track while being recovered, while being injured, and also for
Also
being
on a
in
regular
shape.
Yeah. basis, yes.
You can use a lot of
Yeah.
intensity.
And also,
always
as a
increase it.
dancer, what you need to work on more. You can always be more specific in your needs.
And
Mhm.
of course, it depends on the schedule, but let's say you are a dancer in a company and you have shows regularly. Some companies have more shows, some have less. Let's say you have a show once or twice a week, so you're quite busy. What would you say about Pilates in this time? So let's say it's a high season, you have a lot of work to do, you gotta maintain the main skills that you have in order to perform on stage, but not to overdo so you don't get injury rates high.
I would say if you can get on the machines at least once a week, for me it was better than physio, because it makes you work very symmetrically. So if you have any injuries that tend to come back on a regular basis, this would probably keep them under control, because you always get back to working in a symmetrical way, all of your limbs, your back, your core. And then you can always add a little routine of, 15-20 minutes every second day or something of your abs, back, whatever you need to do, a bit of push-ups, a bit of planking.
Dancers, push-ups, dancers, push-ups.
Even ladies, push-ups. Yeah. So
and then if you are a freelancer, you kind of have a messy schedule, okay, now it's Corona time, we don't speak about Corona, we speak about normal life, which will appear sooner than later, and you're a freelancer who is having a contract here, then several weeks contract there, completely different type of work, then you have some free time, then you suddenly have a new huge project, which is in a different location, you have to travel, so schedule is messy. You've got to first of all maintain your technical
That's
skills,
what I was going to say, because for freelance dancers, sometimes just going to ballet or dance training, whatever kind of dance it is, every day is...
Then, if you have no chance to go to dance training, you still have time somewhere at home. Would you then replace this with Pilates for dancers? Pilates meant for
It would
dancers?
help. It doesn't make up for the... It doesn't replace the dance training. I would never say that. But it does keep you in shape in a certain way.
But it's better than doing nothing.
It's obviously better than doing nothing, than going for a run or something, so that you keep the stamina up.
Some cardio.
And make sure you have, if you're at home and you cannot work with machines or anything, make sure you have some props like a tiraban or something to move your legs around and add some arms. And also, there's something when you're a freelancer, you usually don't have that huge a budget. So Pilates classes are also a budget. So of course I understand that no one would go and take classes on such a regular basis. But if you can do it, if you can go on machines, sometimes do it. And yeah, the routine at home. We all have, there's yoga, we haven't mentioned yoga, but of course a lot of dancers have their yoga routine. It's also really good. Keep on the routine. But go to training, go to dance training. It's so important.
So Pilates can be still a way to keep you in shape, even if you cannot get into a studio, if you have no access or no opportunity time-wise or location-wise. A good routine at home would do the job and keep you more or less.
Yeah, definitely. I notice for myself now, I don't go to dance training every day anymore. I don't manage. I probably go 3 times a week, I would say. And I do any other day Pilates, go to running and blah, blah, blah. And it keeps me, I'm not on point shoes anymore. There are things I don't do anymore. But I guess I don't have to start from scratch every time again.
Yeah,
it keeps me... Yeah, it keeps my body awake, I would say. My muscles probably stronger than I was when I got into company some years ago.
Wow.
Mm.
That's a good thing. Can you repeat it again? You are stronger.
I'm unfortunately stronger now, yeah. I wish I would be
stronger than when
15 years younger and could start it all over again.
In this term, keeping the line, what would you then give as an advice to the young dancers, to the new generation of dancers? Because you just said that you feel even stronger than you were when you were back.
A lot more. But I'm sure.
What do you want to tell them, advise them, or give them as a tip, based on your experience?
I would say, there's so much. You're hard. But when it comes to extra training, do it. But I know now the schools are more open to introducing, for instance, Pilates into their young dancers training, or gyro, or whatever that is, and it's really good. You need your ballet bar and your ballet class every day. There's no question about it. You need your point class, you need your padded class, you need everything. You want to be a ballet dancer, contemporary dancer, you need your other kinds of training. You all still need your ballet class for sure. But all of those extra trainings, or just go to the gym if that suits you better. The guys need also to do extra arms and back, of course, too.
Shoulders, upper
body.
And you lift.
Which you do, of course, also with Pilates. But maybe you need extra strength and stuff. So, but don't don't underestimate this extra training. It's really important. And also now you're asked to being so versatile in companies. I don't know what young dancers will do in 10 years, 20 years, what the ballet world or the dance world will be like. But now you have to be able to stretch your feet and knees and dance and, turn and jump in pointe shoes. You have to be able to roll on the floor. I'm not saying it in a nice way, but you have to be able to do many different kinds of dancing that ask many different kinds of work for your body, for your muscles, for your joints. And so you need to be prepared physically, technically, for each technique of dance, but physically. And this is a support.
So you have to be making sure you stay strong by extra training.
Again, I mean, you know this better than I do. You have to keep your body ready. You don't want to get into injuries every second month.
So they should also follow a little bit of your technique of grabbing from life the lemons and making lemonade.
Yeah.
Kind of technique of enjoying life, technique of making, or turning the coin, making something that is negative or positive, so that it opens other doors for the future.
There are always doors. You need to push them and see what's behind. I mean, I'm not the first one to say that. So it's nothing new. It's very common, but it is true. And I'm come to the conclusion, I mean, I had the one ballet door, and now I'm like trying to push doors. Some open, some don't. Some I will come back to. But it's interesting now, things are more open. Teaching, I've started choreographing. I will present a project on Piazzolla later this year.
So having a certain plan is not necessarily the highlight.
I would never say that. I'm very bad at making plans, and when I do, they turn out to not happen. But I would never tell anybody don't make plans, because it does work for some people. So this is just my.
But if something comes on the road, rather make the best out of it.
I'll grab it. Yeah.
See, there we are.
Definitely.
And what is the thing that you would like to give to the future people, the future project that you have in front of you? Would this be people? Would this be any kind of activities that you will be in? What will be your goal, your vision? With Pilates, giving more awareness about the health of the mind, or?
I would say each activity is a little different. With Pilates, I'm very happy when I make people healthier, more confident, aware that they have a body and they're in charge of it, and it's their body, it's not just an envelope. So that would be Pilates, and I actually quite enjoy it. Me being on stage, it's a little selfish because I just love to be on stage. Me choreographing, I guess it's exploring a new way, taking some parts of you. When you're on stage, you take these parts of you right away, like on the moment. It's an instant thing, but still you use the steps of somebody else, or the words and music of somebody else. So you have some kind of mask. It's not really you, but you're able to use what's inside still to make it happen, make the magic happen. And I started choreographing. It's a whole different story. It's just, I mean, this time I will be dancing when I'm choreographing. I don't know if I'll ever get to choreograph for other people, but it's still a very new journey, and I'm on the very first baby steps there. So I can't really speak about it, but if it happens and if I go on this path, I want to make it very honest, I would say.
So
genuine.
More art, more of you out for people, more knowledge out from you to the people, Pilates-wise, dance-wise, choreography-wise.
Yeah, I'm just trying things out. Getting back to singing at some point to use this again, which Corona kind of put on the side for me, but
you have so many bills in your pockets. Just take one, take another one, combine them. It's a whole new journey.
I don't know if that's that's how it's turning out for me at the moment.
It's
maybe beautiful. At some point I'll get back to one only road, but I'm pretty much enjoying having different roads.
You're being a virtuoso, will be combining your different roads.
Yeah. I mean, it gets tiring sometimes. You would like to, get your focus on one subject and not change. But it's exciting. It makes the daily life not being too much of a routine, never for too long. And it makes me also very independent, which I love, and very free. So, yeah.
And until you still have opportunity to be paying more attention to Pilates, you are still teaching a lot before you grab all the other opportunities.
Mm-hmm.
Where could people find you? How they can get in touch with you to get to know you, to request a Pilates training?
Well, I have this I work in 2 Pilates studios where I give group sessions. There's the studio where I actually learned to become a dancer. The trainer, Pilates trainer, it's called Spine Studio. It's in Berlin, in Schöneberg. And I work in this other studio, Pilates Movement Berlin, in Mitte. I also give some group sessions. And now I've started to give some private sessions also online, because we all do online, of course, since a year. And in my little tiny home studio here, where I have some machines.
And how people can get in touch
Well,
with
put
you?
an email.
An email? What's your Instagram?
That's a good question. That's Eléonore Pilates, I guess. Is it? I don't know. Eléonore Pilates, you'll find me.
Okay, everyone, go find Eléonore on Instagram. You're gonna see the IG written out right here on the screen. Go find Eléonore and DM her for a request for personal training. She's available in person in her home studio and online via Zoom.
Yeah,
So
that's since a year, but it's happening, and it's actually
yes.
quite good. You can do a lot online, which I never expected.
So I would recommend her because she's a good catch of a teacher.
Thank you.
She's fun to work with. She speaks how many languages? 4?
4.
She speaks 4 languages: French, English, German, and Spanish.
Yeah.
And technically you won't really suffer from not understanding her because she's also a dancer. She can explain anything with her body as well. So she's the best teacher here in Berlin for Pilates, who has to do with
by far
dance,
not, but
professional dance background, so she understands human body pretty well from her own experience. Therefore, I recommend her. Go ahead and get in touch. So, Eléonore, thank you so much for joining me today, for sharing your time and beautiful evening to share your experience and to give insight, freelance, company work, then actually evolving all of your talents and interests, grabbing the lemons.
Those are your words, but
grabbing the lemons, creating your lemonade, and drinking it with joyful and sunny mood all the time. Keep your smile up.
I like this lemonade story. I'm gonna keep it.
And we're gonna speak soon.
With pleasure. And have a good time, everybody. Good evening, good day.